Maria had always been a strong and caring mother, even though life had not been kind to her. She had 2 young children, twins named Liam and Emma, and every day was a challenge to make sure they had enough to eat, clothes to wear, and a safe place to sleep. Money was always tight, and some days it felt like there was never enough to make ends meet. But Maria never gave up. She worked odd jobs, cleaned houses, and took care of neighbors' children just to stretch every dollar. Her children's happiness was more important to her than anything else. It was Christmas Eve, the night when most people were preparing to celebrate with their families. For Maria, it was another night of worry, but she wanted to make it special for Liam and Emma. She had only $20 left in her wallet after paying the rent and other bills. $20 might not seem like much, but for her, it was the difference between the children having a small joy or missing out on it entirely. She wanted them to feel the warmth and happiness of the season, even if it was just for a little while. Maria looked at her twins as they got ready to leave the small apartment they shared. Liam, the older twin at 7 years old, put on his worn-out jacket, while Emma, only 5, clutched her small doll and adjusted her knitted hat. Maria smiled at them, hiding the worry lines on her face. "Are you ready for a little Christmas surprise?" she asked gently. Both children nodded eagerly. They didn't know what the surprise was, but their eyes sparkled with excitement. The streets were busy with last-minute shoppers and twinkling holiday lights. Maria held Liam's hand, while Emma walked beside them, skipping in joy. The cold winter wind bit at their cheeks, but the children didn't seem to mind. Maria felt her heart ache at the thought that she could not buy them expensive toys or a big Christmas dinner. Still, she reminded herself that memories mattered more than money. She wanted to give them a moment of happiness that they would remember forever. They arrived at a small, local diner that Maria knew well. It wasn't fancy, but it was warm, smelled like fresh bread and roasted turkey, and had a cheerful atmosphere. The kind waitress always smiled at them, even though she knew Maria's situation. Maria led the twins inside, letting them sit by the window where the Christmas lights outside reflected on the glass. Liam's eyes widened as he saw the decorations, and Emma clapped her hands in delight. "It's so pretty," she exclaimed. Maria smiled, feeling a small wave of relief. She had managed to create a moment of joy for them, and that mattered more than anything. Maria counted the money in her wallet again, making sure it would be enough to buy 3 meals and leave a small tip. She took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "It's okay," she whispered to herself. "We will be fine. Tonight will be special." She wanted to teach her children that happiness did not depend on money, but on love and togetherness. The waitress came over with a warm smile and a notepad in her hand. "What can I get for you 3 tonight?" she asked kindly. Maria looked at her children and then at the menu. She chose simple meals that the twins loved: pancakes with syrup, scrambled eggs, and hot chocolate. She knew it wasn't a feast, but it would make them feel special. The children were bouncing with excitement as they placed their orders, and Maria felt a sense of peace she had not felt in weeks. While waiting for their food, Maria watched her children's eyes wander around the diner. Liam noticed a small Christmas tree decorated with red and gold ornaments in the corner, and he pointed it out to Emma. Emma's face lit up, and she whispered, "I love it." Maria felt her heart swell. Even though they did not have much, her children could still experience the magic of Christmas. She realized that sometimes, joy came not from material things but from small, shared moments. Maria's mind wandered as she watched the other customers in the diner. Some were families enjoying large meals, some were friends laughing over coffee, and others were strangers quietly eating alone. She felt a mix of emotions, happiness for the warm atmosphere, but also a twinge of sadness that she could not provide more for her children. Still, she reminded herself that love mattered more than anything else. The twins were with her, safe and happy, and that was enough. Liam leaned over the table and whispered, "Mom, I'm so excited. Thank you for bringing us here." Maria smiled and reached out to squeeze his hand. "You don't have to thank me, sweetheart. I just want you and Emma to be happy tonight," she said softly. Emma nodded, her eyes shining with joy. "It's the best night ever," she added. Maria felt tears prick her eyes, but she blinked them back. She did not want the children to see her worry. Tonight was for them to be happy, not to worry about money or hardships. The door of the diner opened with a soft jingle, letting in the cold wind from the street. Maria shivered slightly and pulled her coat tighter around her. She glanced at the twins, who were too busy looking at the candy canes on the table to notice the cold. Maria felt a wave of gratitude for this small moment. Despite all the challenges and hardships, she had managed to create a night of warmth and love for her children. As they waited for the food, Maria's mind drifted to what the rest of the night might hold. Would they be able to buy a small gift for each child with the remaining money? Would they make it home safely in the winter chill? She tried not to worry too much, focusing instead on the laughter and chatter of Liam and Emma. Their joy was contagious, and Maria felt her own spirits lift. The aroma of food soon filled the air. Maria's heart lifted even more as the waitress returned with their meals, placing pancakes, eggs, and hot chocolate in front of the twins. Their eyes grew wide, and their faces lit up with excitement. "Wow! Thank you, Mommy!" Liam exclaimed. Emma clapped her hands, unable to contain her excitement. Maria watched them with a quiet joy, her heart full. She had managed to create a moment of happiness, a memory that they would carry with them even through harder times. As Maria served the food carefully, making sure each child had enough, she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. She realized that even with little money, she could give her children something more valuable: love, attention, and a memory they would never forget. She smiled at them, her eyes warm with affection. "Eat up, my loves. Tonight is a special night," she said softly. Maria looked around the diner once more, noticing the people smiling, laughing, and enjoying the festive evening. She felt a small sense of connection to the world outside her struggles. Though life was hard, tonight she had created a little bubble of happiness for her children, and that was priceless. The twins laughed and talked about the decorations, the lights, and the food, completely absorbed in their joy. Maria watched them, her heart full of love and hope. She whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude for this small moment, knowing that, despite the hardships, love and family could create the warmth and magic of Christmas. The smell of pancakes and warm chocolate filled the small diner, wrapping Maria and her twins in a cozy comfort that felt like a temporary escape from their worries. Liam and Emma's eyes sparkled as they looked at their food. The syrup on the pancakes glistened under the soft light, and the fluffy scrambled eggs smelled like a holiday feast. Maria felt her heart lift, watching their excitement. Even with only $20 in her pocket, she realized that these small moments mattered more than any expensive gift. "Mommy, can we eat the pancakes first?" Liam asked, trying to control his excitement. "Of course, sweetie. Take a big bite," Maria said with a warm smile. Emma grabbed her fork eagerly and dug into her pancakes as well, giggling when syrup dripped onto the plate. Maria carefully poured the hot chocolate into their mugs, ensuring they wouldn't spill. She placed her hand on Emma's shoulder, feeling the warmth of her small body against hers. As the twins enjoyed their meal, Maria allowed herself a quiet moment to observe the diner. The other customers were families laughing together, couples sharing stories, and friends enjoying quiet conversations. The atmosphere was cheerful and calm. For a moment, Maria forgot her worries about bills and rent. She thought about how different life could be for many families, yet she felt proud that she could still provide happiness for her children, even in the smallest ways. Liam looked up from his pancakes, syrup dripping from his mouth, and said, "Mommy, this is the best breakfast ever. Thank you for bringing us here." Maria's chest tightened. She held back tears, not wanting to dampen the children's excitement. "I'm glad you like it, sweetheart. I wanted tonight to be special for both of you," she said softly. She noticed Emma nodding in agreement, her face full of delight as she sipped the hot chocolate. Maria glanced at her wallet, counting the remaining money in her mind. She knew that after paying for this meal, she would have very little left. Still, the sparkle in her children's eyes made the sacrifice feel worthwhile. She reminded herself that Christmas was not about expensive gifts but about being together, sharing love, and creating memories. As they ate, Liam leaned forward and whispered, "Mom, I think I see a Christmas tree." Maria looked where he was pointing. In the corner of the diner stood a small, beautifully decorated tree with red and gold ornaments and a tiny star on top. A soft string of lights glowed around it, illuminating the corner of the room. Emma clapped her hands in excitement. "It's beautiful," Maria said, smiling at her children. "We can enjoy it together while we eat our breakfast." Liam and Emma stared at the tree, imagining it was part of their own Christmas celebration. Maria felt a wave of warmth in her heart. She realized that even without a big tree or fancy decorations, the feeling of Christmas could still exist in small, simple ways. While the children ate, Maria noticed a few people glancing at her. She wore an old coat with a small tear near the sleeve, and her shoes were worn from walking in the winter snow. Yet, her face carried a soft smile and an aura of warmth. Some of the diner's regulars smiled politely at her, others whispered quietly among themselves. Maria didn't mind. She knew that she was doing what mattered most, providing happiness and love for her children. Liam's fork paused mid-air, and he whispered, "Mom, I wish we could have Christmas presents too." Maria reached across the table and took his hand. "I know, sweetheart. We will have some small gifts, I promise. But tonight, what's most important is that we are together. That's the best gift of all," she said gently. Liam nodded, seeming to understand, and Emma leaned against Maria, her small hand clutching her mother's arm. Maria felt her heart swell with love. The food was simple but filling. Pancakes, eggs, and hot chocolate created a small feast that allowed the family to forget their troubles, if only for a short while. Maria ate slowly, savoring the warm food, and occasionally checking on her children. She watched Emma laugh as syrup dripped onto her napkin and Liam's excitement as he carefully cut his pancakes into small pieces. These small moments reminded her why she worked so hard every day. Her children's happiness was the reward she cherished most. While they were eating, Maria thought about the year that had passed. It had been full of challenges, job changes, bills piling up, and long nights worrying about money. Yet, through all of it, Liam and Emma had remained her source of joy. She had tried to shield them from the harsh realities of life, creating as much normalcy as possible. Tonight was part of that effort, a night to make them feel safe, loved, and joyful. As the meal continued, Maria noticed a man entering the diner. At first, she thought little of him. He was wearing a dark leather jacket, and his presence seemed larger than life. He walked with confidence and a calmness that made the room notice him. Maria focused on her children, sensing that they were curious but not afraid. Liam's eyes followed the man, and Emma tilted her head in curiosity. Maria felt a small ripple of nervousness, unsure of what to expect. The man approached the counter, ordered a coffee, and glanced around the diner. Maria kept a protective eye on him, still smiling at her children to reassure them. She didn't want them to feel any fear. Something about the man seemed unusual, yet there was no sense of danger. He simply carried himself with a quiet strength. Liam whispered, "Mommy, who is that man?" Maria glanced at him and said softly, "I don't know, sweetie. Sometimes people visit diners just like we do. Let's finish our breakfast and enjoy our time together." She tried to focus on keeping the children calm and happy. Emma looked up at her mother and said, "Mommy, I hope everyone is kind tonight." Maria smiled at her thoughtful little girl. "They will be, Emma. People are kind when we are kind too," she replied, feeling proud of her children's gentle hearts. The man at the counter didn't approach them immediately. Instead, he seemed to notice the children, smiling faintly as he watched them. Maria felt an odd sense of curiosity mixed with relief. The atmosphere of the diner remained peaceful and warm, filled with the sound of laughter, soft Christmas music, and the occasional clinking of cutlery. Maria breathed deeply and reminded herself that tonight was about happiness, togetherness, and the spirit of Christmas. She watched Liam and Emma, savoring their laughter and the simple joy of sharing a meal. She knew that these were the memories that would last a lifetime. Memories not of material wealth, but of love, warmth, and family. The twins finished the first half of their meal, still chattering excitedly about the Christmas tree and the lights. Maria felt a deep sense of gratitude for this small diner, for the moment of peace, and for the chance to give her children a Christmas Eve they would always remember. She hoped that the rest of the night would continue this way, filled with laughter, small surprises, and the magic of togetherness. Maria's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the diner door opening again. A cold gust of wind entered the room, causing the small bell above the door to jingle. Maria glanced up, feeling a mix of curiosity and unease. She held Liam and Emma close, though they were too focused on their pancakes to notice. Something about the moment felt different, as if the night had something unexpected in store for them. Maria took a deep breath, reminding herself to stay calm. She smiled at her children and said, "Let's finish our meal and enjoy this special night. We are together, and that is what matters most." Liam and Emma nodded, their faces full of happiness, completely unaware of the small ripple of tension that had just entered the diner. The warmth of the diner, the laughter of the children, and the smell of pancakes created a perfect bubble of comfort. Maria realized that, despite her worries and the challenges of life, she had succeeded in giving her children something truly precious: the joy of family, the excitement of Christmas Eve, and the memory of a night filled with love. Maria had just begun to relax, feeling the warmth of the diner and the happiness of her twins, when the door opened with a sudden jingle. A rush of cold winter air swept through the room, causing a few napkins to flutter and drawing the attention of everyone inside. Maria instinctively pulled Liam and Emma closer to her, though they were too absorbed in their pancakes to notice the chill. A tall man walked in, commanding the room with his presence. He wore a dark leather jacket covered in patches, and his boots made a soft thud as he stepped onto the wooden floor. A thick beard framed his face, and his eyes were sharp and watchful. At first, a hush fell over the diner. Some customers glanced nervously at him, and others whispered quietly. Maria felt a small knot of worry form in her stomach. She had never seen someone like him before, and his appearance was intimidating. Yet, there was something in his eyes that felt different from what Maria had expected. They were calm, even gentle, despite his rough appearance. The man walked to the counter and ordered a coffee, his voice low but steady. Maria continued to watch him discreetly while keeping her attention on the children. She didn't want them to feel uneasy. Emma tilted her head toward the man and whispered, "Mommy, why does that man look so strong?" Maria smiled softly, kneeling slightly to meet her daughter's gaze. "Sometimes people look different from us, sweetheart. What is important is how they act, not how they look," she explained. Emma nodded thoughtfully, and Liam, ever curious, whispered, "He seems kind, maybe?" Maria wasn't sure, but she hoped Liam was right. She felt a mix of caution and curiosity. The man sipped his coffee, then slowly scanned the diner. When his gaze fell on Maria and the twins, something changed in his expression. A faint smile appeared, and the gentle warmth in his eyes made Maria feel slightly more at ease. After a few moments, the man walked toward their table. Maria's heart raced, unsure of his intentions. He stopped beside them and looked at the children. "Are these your children?" he asked softly. Maria nodded, her hand resting protectively on Liam's shoulder. "Yes, they are," she said, her voice calm but cautious. The man smiled warmly. "They are very lucky to have a mother like you," he said. Maria felt a sudden wave of surprise and curiosity. His tone was not threatening at all, it was kind and respectful. Liam and Emma looked up at him, no longer afraid, their eyes wide with curiosity. Thank you," Maria said softly. She wasn't sure what to make of this stranger, but something about his presence seemed sincere. The man nodded and said, "I don't mean to startle you. I just wanted to tell you that what you are doing for them tonight is very special. Not many people would do this, even with a little money. You are giving them joy, love, and memories they will carry forever." Maria blinked, surprised by his words. She felt her eyes well up with tears, but she smiled at the children and tried to stay composed. "I just want them to be happy," she said gently. "That is all that matters to me." The man nodded approvingly. He reached into the pocket of his leather jacket and pulled out a small envelope. Maria's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure what it contained, and she hesitated. I don't understand, she said softly. He held out the envelope. Take this, he said simply. Use it to give your children a little extra this Christmas. You deserve it. They deserve it. No one should feel hungry or sad on a night like tonight. Maria's hands trembled as she reached for the envelope. Liam and Emma leaned forward, peering curiously at it. Maria carefully opened the envelope. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Inside were bills, enough to cover their meal, buy small gifts, and even save a little for future needs. She looked up at the man, speechless. Why are you helping us? She asked, her voice shaking. The man smiled kindly. Sometimes people judge others by appearance, but love and kindness are more important. You are showing them the true meaning of Christmas. I wanted to help. The diner had fallen silent, the other customers watching quietly. Maria looked at the twins, who were staring in amazement at the stranger. Liam whispered, "Mommy, he's nice." Emma added, "Yes, Mommy. He is like a Christmas angel." Maria felt tears slide down her cheeks, a mix of relief and gratitude. She hugged the envelope to her chest and smiled at the man. "Thank you. I don't know what to say." He shook his head gently. "You don't need to say anything. Just promise me you will continue to teach them love, kindness, and hope. That is the greatest gift of all." Maria nodded, her voice steady now despite the tears. "I promise," she said. Liam and Emma echoed her promise, holding her hands tightly. The man took a sip of his coffee, glanced once more at the small family, and then turned to leave. Maria felt a pang of gratitude mixed with sadness that he would go, but she knew his kindness would stay with them forever. As he walked toward the door, he paused and said softly, "Merry Christmas to all of you. Remember, the world can surprise you in wonderful ways if you keep your heart open." With that, he stepped out into the cold night, leaving a warmth behind him that lingered in the diner. Maria closed the envelope and held it tightly, her heart overflowing with love and hope. She realized that kindness could come from unexpected places, and that even in difficult times, miracles could happen. The twins looked up at her with wide eyes. "Mommy, can we still get small gifts?" Liam asked eagerly. Maria smiled through her tears. "Yes, we can. Tonight is a night full of surprises," she said. Emma clapped her hands in excitement. Maria took a deep breath, feeling the weight of worry lift from her shoulders. She had been struggling for so long, trying to make Christmas special with so little, and now she could provide a small miracle for her children. It was more than just money. It was hope, kindness, and a reminder that the world could be a good place. The diner returned to its usual hum of conversation, laughter, and soft Christmas music. Maria finished her meal with the twins, savoring every bite and every shared smile. She felt proud of the small joy she had created for them, and grateful for the stranger who had reminded her that love and generosity could come in many forms. As they left the diner, Maria carried the envelope carefully, and the twins held her hands tightly. The cold night air bit at their faces, but they didn't mind. Their hearts were warm, full of the magic of Christmas, and the memory of a stranger who had turned a small meal into a night they would never forget. Maria knew that this Christmas Eve would be remembered forever. It was not about gifts or money, it was about love, kindness, and the unexpected miracles that life could offer. She looked at her twins and whispered, "Tonight, we learned that even the smallest hearts can receive great kindness. Remember that always." Liam and Emma nodded, their eyes wide and shining. Maria smiled, feeling her own eyes glisten. She realized that no matter how hard life could be, love, courage, and hope were stronger than fear, worry, or poverty. The night had shown her that Christmas magic could appear when least expected, and in the most unexpected people. With hearts full of gratitude and joy, Maria and her twins walked home through the snowy streets, ready to celebrate a Christmas they would remember forever. The warmth of their love, the kindness of a stranger, and the small joys of life had created a memory that would last a lifetime. After leaving the diner, Maria clutched the envelope tightly in her hand. The cold winter air stung her cheeks, but she hardly noticed. Her mind was full of wonder and gratitude. She could hardly believe what had just happened. A stranger, someone who looked rough and intimidating, had shown her a kindness she never expected. More than the money, it was his words, the way he had acknowledged her love for her children, that touched her deeply. Liam and Emma held her hands as they walked home through the quiet, snow-covered streets. They laughed and pointed at the colorful Christmas lights and windows, and Maria smiled, her heart warm despite the chill. She kept glancing down at them, marveling at how their little hearts were full of joy. She had always known that they deserved happiness, but now she felt certain that even in the hardest times, magic could happen if hearts remained open. When they reached their small apartment, Maria set down the envelope and opened it again to make sure she understood the contents. There were enough bills to pay for the small gifts she had planned for the twins, cover a little more food for the next few days, and even save a portion for emergencies. It was more money than she had seen in a long time, and it gave her hope for the first time in months. "Mommy, can we open our gifts now?" Liam asked eagerly. Maria laughed softly. She had prepared a few small presents she had bought with her last few dollars, wrapped in simple paper. "Yes, we can," she said. She handed each child a small package. Their faces lit up instantly, and they squealed with delight. Emma tore open the wrapping paper to reveal a small stuffed rabbit she had been wishing for. Liam unwrapped a small set of coloring pencils and a drawing book. They hugged their gifts tightly, their laughter filling the small apartment. Maria felt tears in her eyes as she watched them. The simple joy on their faces was more beautiful than anything money could buy. She realized that even though life had been difficult, she had succeeded in giving her children happiness, love, and security. And tonight, that happiness had been doubled by the unexpected kindness of a stranger. After the initial excitement of opening gifts, Maria gathered the twins around the table. "I want you both to understand something very important," she said softly, placing her hand on theirs. "Tonight we saw something wonderful. We saw that kindness can come from anyone, and sometimes it comes when we least expect it. The man at the diner could have been anyone, but he chose to help us. That is the magic of Christmas. It is not about gifts or money, it is about love, generosity, and hope." Liam nodded solemnly. "So even if someone looks scary or different, they can be nice?" he asked. Maria smiled and hugged him. "Exactly, sweetie. Never judge anyone by how they look. Always look at their heart." Emma leaned against her mother, her eyes bright and thoughtful. "I want to be kind too," she whispered. Maria kissed the top of her daughter's head. "You already are, Emma. That is why we were blessed tonight." After a moment, Maria pulled out a piece of paper and a pencil. "How about we write a little thank you note for the man who helped us?" she suggested. Liam and Emma agreed enthusiastically. Together, they wrote simple words of gratitude. "Thank you for helping us on Christmas Eve. You made our night very special. Love, Liam, Emma, and Mommy." Maria folded the paper carefully and put it in an envelope. She knew she could not give it to the man directly, but the act of writing it helped them all feel the connection and the joy of giving back. As the night went on, Maria prepared a small snack for the twins and herself. They ate together at the tiny kitchen table, laughing and sharing stories. Maria told them about her own childhood Christmases, how she had sometimes gone without gifts but still remembered the warmth of love from her family. Liam and Emma listened, wide-eyed, fascinated by the stories. Maria felt grateful for this moment, realizing that these stories, too, were gifts, memories of love that would stay with them forever. After eating, the twins helped Maria decorate a small corner of the apartment. They hung a few handmade ornaments, a string of lights, and even the small star from the diner's Christmas tree that they had imagined in their minds. It was not a large display, but the apartment glowed with warmth and joy. Liam placed a small paper angel on top of the makeshift tree. "This is for the man who helped us," he said solemnly. Maria felt tears prick her eyes again. The children had understood the true meaning of kindness and generosity. As bedtime approached, Maria tucked the twins into bed. They cuddled under their blankets, still talking excitedly about the magical night. "Mommy, I will never forget this Christmas," Liam whispered. "Me neither," Emma added. Maria kissed them both on their foreheads. "Neither will I, my loves. Tonight, we learned something very special, and it will stay with us forever." Once the twins were asleep, Maria sat quietly at the small table in the corner of the apartment. She looked at the envelope of money and felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. It was more than just financial help. It was a reminder that even in hard times, the world could surprise her with goodness. She knew that life would still be challenging, but tonight had proven to her that hope, love, and generosity could change everything. Maria thought about the man in the diner. He had been strong, rough-looking, and intimidating, yet he had a heart full of kindness. She realized that people could not always be judged by appearances. His actions had not only helped them financially, but they had also restored her faith in humanity. Maria felt inspired to continue living her life with the same spirit of generosity and love, teaching her children to do the same. The next morning, Christmas Day, Maria awoke to the soft glow of sunlight coming through the small apartment window. Liam and Emma were already awake, excited to see what the day would bring. Maria smiled, remembering the events of the night before. She knew that this Christmas would not be measured by gifts or decorations, but by the love they shared, the joy they experienced, and the kindness they had received. As they prepared for the day, Maria shared with the twins her plan to use the envelope responsibly. Some of it would go toward small gifts, some toward food, and the rest would be saved for emergencies. Liam and Emma nodded in agreement, understanding the importance of using resources wisely. Maria felt proud of their maturity and gratitude. Before leaving the apartment for a short walk to enjoy the Christmas morning together, Maria took a moment to reflect. Life was not always easy, and challenges would continue to come, but the events of the previous night had shown her that love, hope, and kindness could overcome fear, worry, and uncertainty. She knew that she would carry this lesson with her always and pass it on to her children. As they stepped outside into the crisp winter morning, the small family felt a sense of joy and anticipation. Snow sparkled on the trees and rooftops, and the streets were filled with the quiet magic of Christmas Day. Maria held Liam and Emma close, feeling the warmth of their hands in hers. She realized that the true spirit of Christmas was alive in their hearts, in the laughter they shared, and in the kindness they had witnessed. Tonight, Maria had witnessed a miracle. It was not a miracle of wealth or grand gifts, but a miracle of the human heart, a reminder that love and generosity could appear in the most unexpected ways. She knew that the memory of this night would stay with them forever, a shining example of hope, kindness, and the magic that exists when people care for one another. As the family walked down the quiet streets, Maria felt an unshakable sense of peace. The envelope, the gifts, the kindness of the stranger, and the happiness of her children had combined to create a moment she would never forget. She realized that the true gift of Christmas was not the money, the presents, or the decorations, but the love and hope that they carried in their hearts, and the joy that comes from sharing it with others. Maria looked down at Liam and Emma, their faces glowing with happiness, and whispered softly, "Merry Christmas, my loves. Tonight, we have learned the true meaning of giving and the magic of kindness." The twins smiled back, their hearts full, and together they walked forward into a Christmas they would remember forever. The next morning, Maria awoke to the soft light of the sun filtering through the small apartment window. Liam and Emma were already awake, sitting on their beds with excited smiles. The warmth from the night before still lingered in her heart, and she felt a deep sense of gratitude. The previous evening had been more than she could have ever hoped for. A stranger's kindness had not only helped her financially but had also reminded her of the goodness that exists in the world. "Mommy, can we play with our gifts?" Liam asked eagerly, holding up the coloring book he had received. Emma nodded, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Maria laughed softly and nodded. "Yes, my loves. But first, let's have breakfast together," she said. She wanted to make sure the day started with a small routine, something normal and comforting, despite the excitement from last night. As they ate, Maria carefully explained how they would use the money from the envelope. A small portion would go toward a few more gifts, a little toward food, and the rest would be saved for emergencies. Liam and Emma listened attentively, understanding the importance of using resources wisely. Maria felt proud of their maturity and grateful that they had already learned such important lessons about gratitude and responsibility. After breakfast, Maria suggested they go for a short walk to enjoy the Christmas morning. The streets were quiet, blanketed in snow that sparkled under the morning sun. The cold air nipped at their cheeks, but the children laughed and skipped along, holding their mother's hands. Their small voices carried joy and excitement, and Maria felt a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the winter chill. As they walked, the children noticed small acts of kindness happening all around them. A man helped an elderly woman carry her groceries, a child shared a toy with a friend, and neighbors greeted each other warmly. Maria pointed out these moments to her twins. "See, my loves? Kindness is everywhere. Just like the man at the diner showed us, small acts of goodness can make a big difference in someone's life." Liam and Emma nodded, their eyes wide as they observed the world through their mother's thoughtful lens. After returning home, Maria set aside time to create a little Christmas celebration in their small apartment. She spread a simple blanket on the floor, placed their gifts around it, and played soft Christmas music. The twins sat together, excitedly opening the remaining small presents. Each gift was modest, but their joy was immense. Maria felt tears of happiness fill her eyes as she watched them. She realized that the true magic of Christmas was not in the gifts themselves, but in the love and happiness they shared together. Once the gifts were unwrapped, Maria suggested they write letters to people who had helped them or shown kindness throughout the year. Liam and Emma eagerly agreed, using crayons and colored pencils to create colorful letters filled with thank yous and drawings. Maria helped them, guiding their hands and encouraging their words. The process became a joyful lesson in gratitude and reflection. She knew that teaching her children to recognize and appreciate kindness would shape the kind of people they would grow into. Later, Maria decided to bake a small treat with the twins. She had a few ingredients left, enough to make a simple batch of cookies. The children eagerly helped, mixing dough, cutting shapes with cookie cutters, and giggling as flour dusted their faces. Maria watched them with pride and joy. These were the moments she had always wanted for her children, a sense of normalcy, laughter, and togetherness. The simple act of baking together became another memory to treasure. As the afternoon progressed, Maria prepared a modest Christmas dinner. She had saved a little money from the envelope to buy a small turkey and some vegetables. The aroma filled the apartment, creating a festive atmosphere. Liam and Emma set the table with handmade decorations and colorful napkins. They laughed and chatted, sharing stories about the magical night at the diner and the stranger who had helped them. Maria smiled, realizing that the joy and wonder of that moment had stayed with them and would likely remain in their hearts forever. Once the dinner was ready, Maria led the twins to the table. They held hands, and she said a small prayer of thanks for the food, their health, and the extraordinary kindness they had received. The meal was simple, but the love surrounding it made it feel grand. Maria watched her children eat with delight, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. She knew that even in a small apartment, with modest means, she had created a Christmas full of joy, love, and memories. After dinner, Maria suggested they share stories. Liam and Emma eagerly took turns telling their favorite parts of the night before, describing the diner, the decorations, and most of all, the kind stranger who had changed their Christmas. Maria listened, smiling at their excitement and the wonder in their voices. She encouraged them to remember these feelings, explaining that the true meaning of Christmas was in these small, heartfelt moments of love and generosity. As evening approached, Maria prepared a small cozy corner for the twins to sleep, wrapping them in warm blankets and tucking them in gently. She kissed their foreheads, whispering words of love and hope. "Remember, my loves, tonight we have learned something very special. Life can surprise us in wonderful ways if we keep our hearts open. Never forget the kindness of others, and always try to be kind in return." Liam and Emma nodded, their eyes shining with understanding. After the twins fell asleep, Maria sat quietly, reflecting on the day. She thought about the stranger in the diner and the extraordinary act of kindness he had shown. It was more than just money, it was a lesson in hope, generosity, and the power of human goodness. Maria felt inspired to continue teaching her children these lessons and to live a life guided by love and compassion. She knew that the experience would stay with them forever, shaping the way they saw the world and the way they treated others. Before closing her eyes, Maria looked around the small apartment, now filled with laughter, warmth, and the gentle glow of Christmas lights. She realized that despite the hardships and struggles of the past, she had succeeded in giving her children something far more valuable than material gifts. She had given them a sense of security, love, and the memory of a Christmas miracle. Maria's heart was full as she whispered softly to herself, "Merry Christmas to us all. We are safe, we are loved, and we are blessed." She knew that the events of this day, the generosity of a stranger, the joy of her children, and the simple pleasures of togetherness, would remain with them for a lifetime. As the snow fell gently outside, the small apartment glowed with warmth and happiness. Maria felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that love and kindness had triumphed over worry and struggle. She knew that her children had learned the same lesson, that the magic of Christmas could appear in the most unexpected ways and that the greatest treasures were not material, but the love, hope, and joy they shared as a family. Maria finally closed her eyes, holding onto the memory of the night, the magic of the stranger's generosity, and the laughter of her children. She knew that this Christmas was not just a celebration, it was a turning point, a reminder that miracles can happen when hearts remain open and love guides every action. In the quiet of the night, with snow sparkling under the streetlights, Maria felt a wave of gratitude and hope. She knew that no matter what challenges came in the future, she had given her children something they could carry forever, the memory of a Christmas filled with love, kindness, and unexpected miracles. It was a Christmas they would never forget, a story they would tell and treasure for the rest of their lives. The warmth of the apartment, the laughter of the children, and the love they shared became a beacon of hope in the cold winter night. Maria realized that this was the true magic of Christmas. Not the gifts, not the food, but the moments of love, compassion, and human kindness that can transform ordinary days into extraordinary memories. With a heart full of gratitude, Maria whispered one last time, "Merry Christmas, my loves. We have learned the true meaning of giving, and it will stay with us forever." Outside, the snow continued to fall gently, sparkling in the light, as if celebrating the small miracles of love and kindness that had filled this little apartment on a Christmas to remember.